Good afternoon, everyone. Today's date is July 21st, 2026, and we're going to be discussing Tropical Storm Bertha. So to start off here, we have the tropical weather outlook by the National Hurricane Center. And the center of circulation for Bertha is pretty much just about south or a little bit southeast of Pensacola, Florida. And here's the cone of uncertainty. And keep in mind the track of this storm could go north or just south of what this main line right here shows. So it could go farther up into Louisiana a little bit, or it could go a little bit farther south into the Gulf. But the National Hurricane Center has this at a 58 mile per hour tropical storm right now as of the latest 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time update. And currently, this is the strongest they think it's going to get upon landfall, maybe sometime really tomorrow evening, tomorrow night into Louisiana. But as it crosses into Louisiana, southern Louisiana, that is, it will slowly begin to weaken before potentially moving into southeast Texas as a pretty weak tropical storm, or probably or more likely a tropical depression with about 35 mile per hour max winds. So starting off with radar, we have some bands moving into kind of into the panhandle of Florida, and then even into portions of southern Alabama. But these aren't too strong at the moment because the strongest part of the storm is thankfully kind of into the Gulf because of the dry air that's actually getting into the center of the circulation of the storm. But we still have some stronger storms into Tallahassee, into portions of the panhandle of Florida there. And then also in this red color and kind of this pinkish color here. The pinkish color is tropical storm watches, and the red color is tropical storm warnings, all the way from really Panama City into portions of the panhandle of Florida, all the way kind of just east and to the south of New Orleans. And once again, that pink or really salmon color is into portions of Mississippi, into Louisiana as well. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we get some more tropical storm watches added later on, maybe today or tomorrow, into southern Louisiana or even into portions of southeast Texas. So that's the latest we have with the radar showing up right now as of about 2:36 p.m. So now let's take a look at satellite, and I'll kind of show y'all what this looks like. So we'll go ahead and get this in motion. So as you can see, there's the low level circulation there, pretty defined actually, now that most of the higher cloud tops are to the south. But the reason for this is because there's dry air getting kind of entrenched into the system. And that is limiting the really intensification of the storm, where it's not able to continue to intensify further than it already has. And really the strongest part, as I said earlier, is to the south, where you see these much more stronger and higher cloud tops with deeper convection. And to the north is still kind of organized, but it's just not a healthy tropical storm, as many would say. Because you don't have that full wrapping around of high cloud tops. But nonetheless, it's still a really 60 mile per hour storm at the moment. And that's the latest we have on satellite. And as you can see, it's slowly making its way towards the west. Now switching to the rainfall forecast. And so the good thing is the heaviest rainfall will be into the Gulf, and could see some areas into extreme southern Louisiana that get maybe 4 to 6 inches of rain. But for the majority of southern Louisiana into southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, and into the far western panhandle of Florida, those areas could see roughly about 2 to 4 inches of rain. And then further inland, I should say, those areas could see about 1 to 2 inches of rain, all the way from pretty much the panhandle of Florida west into Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and finally into southeastern Texas. And now here is the peak storm surge forecast, and the dark blue color is areas that could receive up to 3 feet of storm surge, and the yellow area here into Mississippi and into pretty much kind of southeastern Louisiana. Those areas could see about 2 to 4 feet of storm surge in that yellow color there. And lastly, before we take a look at some weather models, this is the wind accumulation forecast from the European weather model. And so really this evening is the really greatest potential of 30, 40, 50 mile per hour wind gust, and that will mainly be into the panhandle of Florida, also into portions of southern Alabama, coastal Mississippi as well. Some of those areas could see 20, 30 mile per hour wind gusts, but mainly into Pensacola, Panama City, those areas could easily see 45, 50 mile per hour wind gust this evening. And then as this moves farther to the west, those areas into southern Louisiana could see 30, maybe 40 mile per hour wind gust the further south you get. But farther inland, really around 20 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts are possible there. Same thing into farther into kind of southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi, 20, 30 mile per hour wind gusts there. Then as we get into southeastern Texas, really near Galveston and Houston, those areas could see maybe 10, 20 mile per hour wind gust as we get further into Thursday morning and Thursday afternoon into those areas. So what do the latest hurricane models show as of right now? So this is the latest HWRF model we have. It's some of or one of the little bit more conservative models that we have here, and we'll show another aggressive model here in just a moment. But for the most part, we're seeing what the National Hurricane Center is forecasting, this remaining around a kind of moderate to strong tropical storm. So taking a look at the HWRF model here as we get, spike this up a little bit, as we get to this evening and tonight, and finally into tomorrow on Wednesday, this will once again get a little bit closer to into really Mobile, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, into Louisiana, and before weakening a little bit further as we get to tomorrow morning, around 1,000 millibar tropical system by this point, probably a weak tropical storm, maybe a tropical depression. But then it shows it strengthening just a little bit as it gets off the coast of Louisiana, and finally starting to weaken a little bit more as we get into Thursday morning before it finally makes kind of another landfall into Texas there by Thursday, really about Thursday afternoon. So that's the latest we have on the HWRF model. Let's look at one of the other models here, the HMOD model. Now this one is a little bit more, actually quite a bit more aggressive with this system overall. So it maintains its strength here before strengthening a little bit further, which is what we expect here as we go into Louisiana. But then it kind of wobbles off track just a little bit and doesn't fully get over Louisiana, and it kind of really just dwindles off a little bit off the track and gets off the coast of Louisiana before strengthening a little bit more, and actually gets it pretty far off the coast here and strengthens it into, honestly, that's about a category 1 hurricane, pretty strong category 1 hurricane before making a landfall into Texas on Thursday afternoon or evening. So we'll have to watch that trend there. That's something we don't want to happen as the system moves kind of towards Louisiana. We don't want it really to get off into the Gulf too much where it can strengthen further. But that is, once again, just one model, one run we have there. We'll have to continue to monitor that trend for sure. But let's finally take a look at the HFSA model. And so once again, has this at the strength we expect it to be right now. And as we get into really this evening and into tomorrow on Wednesday, it gets it into Louisiana, and then kind of does this weird thing with the low pressure and really just moves this low pressure overall into a different location than it started out with, which is kind of odd how this is showing it here. But once again gets this kind of to the south of Louisiana, as the HMOD model showed, but doesn't get that going further to the west, and actually kind of moves it on into Louisiana before really moving on out, and just kind of a scattered mess of convection here. And that will finally get it into Texas sometime Thursday. So again, we still have a little bit of uncertainty with the track of this system, but we definitely don't want it to move to the south as the HMOD model shows. But overall, we really don't expect this to get much stronger than a tropical storm at this moment. But like I said, we'll continue to watch these trends and see how this plays out as we get to tomorrow, and especially on Thursday. So that'll wrap things up for today's forecast. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I hope y'all stay safe and have a great rest of your Tuesday.